Root ships, stagger line. Shipmaster, they outnumber us 3 to 1.
Then it is an even fight. All cruisers fire at will. Burn their mongrel hides.
I gotta talk about Halo really quick. I literally just got done talking about, in another video that I was recording, AI being used in video games, and then I get a bunch of notifications about how generative AI is being used for the newest Halo games, which are, of course, as the leaks say, all going to be remakes of the original trilogy. I'll say what I said in that other video I just recorded. I mean, Halo consumers, and I'm not gonna call them fans, maybe fanboys, I don't know what the term is exactly, but these are like, they're literally the Flood. They're a hive mind whose only job or desire in life is to defend any decision that 343 makes. Halo lost its soul. I mean, I would argue there was a little bit of soul left in Halo 4. I didn't like the game. I didn't like the way they went. The premise, of course, sucked ass. There was at least a little bit of soul left in the cheeks of Cortana and the curves. But now people are freaking out that more negative news is coming out about the Halo remake. And it's just like, you know, has there actually been any positive news at all? I think the best thing they could have done was announce a remake of their own trilogy that they did. You can say what you want about Halo Infinite, and I will say a lot about it that's negative, but they developed this engine, and their next 10-year game only lasted maybe a year. I'm honestly shocked that they didn't use this opportunity with the UE5 engine, which I also hate. That's also bad news, guys. Halo's gonna be more generic now. That's bad news, idiots. And I played the demo. I went to Halo Studios in Redmond, Washington, and I played the demo at one of their events. I'm not gonna say which event because I don't want it to get canceled for next year, but when I played it, I literally felt nothing, which is probably the worst thing you could kind of say about a game, especially a remake of one of the most beloved games of all time. And you can have your opinion of Combat Evolved, but that game, you know, it's undeniable that it has soul and it has good design. And a lot of the mods you can do now, you know, I think the only thing they could do would be make a version of the game, which exact same art style, but they just fix a little bit of what happens in the latter half of the game, which is what a lot of the mods that I love do. And just a little bit of a side note, if you've never played Halo CE before and you're having difficulty, if you're trying to play it through your first time, I mean, there's mods on PC, directly on Steam, and I think the best way to actually play it, which is what I do now, is to do the Ruby's rebalanced Halo CE. That I think is the perfect balance of being faithful, but making the latter half of the game very fresh, even though you're kind of going through the old levels. But either way, back to this AI thing. I mean, it literally feels to me, after Halo 4, it was basically an AI-generated franchise anyway. They were just paying more for soulless golems to make it than they were for this new AI. And it's funny because it's not like it's not like their budget will actually go down with this new game, which would actually be an intelligent thing to do. If I was the commissar over there at Halo Studios, if I was Pierre Hinsa, who, by the way, I met him at the event, super nice guy, I just don't think he really likes or gets Halo. He comes from like the FIFA crowd, so he's like the perfect guy to head up this new AI kind of slop era. And I don't really want to hear about how, oh, he fixed Halo MCC. Bro, it's not even fixed yet. Like, it's been over 10 years now, right? I don't even remember when it was released. It's been a long time. It's not fixed yet. But yeah, I mean, these new remakes, as soon as they announced them, I was like, this is trouble. I mean, if you have any kind of pattern recognition in your brain, I mean, this studio has not made a good game, ever. The best games made by them under their umbrella was literally Halo Wars 2, and it wasn't even made by them. It was just published by them. And if they had any kind of brains, they would have let other studios. They would have just been the Halo publisher or the Halo guide instead of, they suck at making games. They can't even admit that to themselves. They think that the old fans and the old games are the problem because they set the standard too high. And the funny thing is, all the people defending these new games, the ones who think that the Halo cycle actually exists, it doesn't exist. It's just they keep coming out with worse games. And so you look back on the other one saying, oh, that's not too bad. It's like, no, they're still bad. It's the same thing as the Star Wars prequels. Those are not good now. They're just less bad than the trash we have now. And so I would say if you're here and you're like feeling bad about what I'm saying about the Halo franchise, I'm an actual fan who, I used to go to Halo 2 tournaments. That was my first game, was Halo 2 in the franchise. I love that game. And I know I'm completely delusional, but my favorite game in the franchise is Halo 2. And it's followed by Halo CE, and then Halo 3 is my least favorite, although it is amazing. I love it. But actually, no, I will say it's Halo 2 for me, then Halo Reach, then Halo CE, and then Halo 3, which that is insanity as far as like objective quality, because I know for a fact I can look and I can appreciate Halo 3 is the best game ever made in the Halo series. But for me, writing and dialogue is so important. And I mean, it is nostalgia, but I love how much innovation came with Halo 2. And the writing in that game was just insane. I don't know why, and I don't even know, I have not looked this up. I'm assuming there's a completely different writer, especially for the dialogue. Halo 3 does not seem like it's in the same realm, writing-wise, as Halo 2. But either way, I'm outing myself as a quote-unquote Bungie fanboy, but if you're not a Bungie fanboy, it means that you like the studio that it literally has no standards. Their standards don't exist. They don't have quality standards. When they release a game, and it's not complete on launch, they haven't fulfilled any promises that they made the fans, like split-screen co-op that was accidentally modded into the game a month later. You're the actual idiot, not us. And it was definitely just a matter of time that Bungie itself, we all saw what happened with Destiny. Halo was doomed after Halo 3 and Halo Reach. We even saw a little bit of the cracks forming in Halo Reach. That is not a perfect game. But Halo 4, that released in the era of just dog shit writing, and it just keeps getting worse. I mean, the one thing I will give Halo Infinite, it's basically nothing, which is better than bad. Actually, I take that back. It's about as bad as bad. But the people who celebrate these new games, you will not get better quality by supporting them. No work of art, no product gets better if you just accept it the way it is. And they've proven, Halo Studios has proven, and all these modern game studios have proven that they do not have quality standards. And if they do have quality standards, it's for the monetization. Has any one of these games that have been basically incomplete or incomplete at launch, do any of them have fucked up marketplaces? And I'm not talking about the price, I'm talking about the actual functionality of the marketplace. They probably have the best in the industry at Microsoft as far as like the marketplace to buy their stupid skins. And you have people defend Infinite as that's a good game. Do you not remember when it released? You deserve the generative AI slop. If you defended any of these 3 games that came out, you deserve this. You're the exact cause of this. Microsoft and 343, they have no qualms about taking Halo in any direction they want because they know the backlash from fans will be drowned out by the positivity. I think a pretty apt comparison is actually Arrowhead, who they're the ones who make Helldivers 2. And they had their own little path that they thought was good, and they went down and they had people kind of complaining in the ether, on Twitter especially, because they're over there balancing basically a PvE party game. And it was like really stupid because I was one of the people complaining too. I wasn't actively doing it on Twitter, but I had the same complaint that a lot of people did on Twitter where it's just like, why aren't we being given more powerful weapons? Why you keep nerfing them all? The kind of same thing as Dark Souls, where they nerf these weapons that people find on day one are just like broken. This is not a PvP game, although I will say Dark Souls, of course, that is a PvP game if you choose it to be. Halo Studios, they laugh at you because they give you, like their goal is to basically give you the bare minimum that you can call a game, and you pay $70 for it. They kind of test the waters by, especially, Halo Infinite was like the biggest rug pull I've ever seen, where they go back to the original art style because people, they see something visually and they just can't help themselves. And I also thought it looked great. The art style looked great at least, but I had my minor nitpicks. I thought the armor and a lot of the materials looked like kind of 3D printed plastic. It looked kind of gross to me. I don't know why they can't go back to the Halo CE kind of like shiny armor. I love that. I wish all the games kind of had that kind of style. It's very unique. But I will give one thing to the Infinite crowd. I mean, it was at least, unique in that if you looked at it, you could tell which game that was in the series. But they kind of like tested the waters with this reveal where they go, hey, here's the Halo campaign Evolved. The arrogance in that title alone was the first kind of slap in your face to see if you'll react. Then, people think they're going to change the assets. They're not changing the assets. You're like an actual idiot if you think they're going to change any of the assets. They might change one thing. Maybe they'll make the Elite's armor shinier or something, or they'll add shield flare when you shoot them. But in the actual trailer, it's usually an overestimation of what the game will be. But I will say, when I played the demo, my very first video was made about this, and it was kind of like really bad audio. But my thoughts, like I said before, it's nothing. It's just, it has nothing left. It's basically Halo CE if it was stripped bare and had its guts taken out. But like the sound design is terrible, and everyone's defending the sound design. The asset flipping is insane. That was something that was like one of the biggest complaints about the Halo CE anniversary. But apparently now it's okay. And then like the main thing people say is, oh, well, they'll change it. And it's just like, no, they won't. And what happens if they don't change it? Are you gonna complain? No, you're gonna find out some other reason to say it's okay. So this cycle continues. I mean, you have all the Halo YouTubers are gonna be whining about this for the next few months. But because they need access to actually be relevant on YouTube, if Halo Studios lets some of these big channels like Hidden Xperia, Halo Follower, Mint Blitz, if they let these guys have a little bit of access, they're gonna basically defend anything that happens. You're gonna see, oh, AI bad, people are gonna lose their jobs. In a few months, they're going to be making videos about how generative AI is actually good. They can tackle multiple projects now. Oh my God, we're gonna get so much more Halo content. When really the answer all along has been to just, why don't you hire people who genuinely love Halo and would work it for free and are actually good at their craft? That was the magic of Bungie, is they actually wanted to make their games and they wanted to play their games. I can almost guarantee you, people like Jamie Griesmer, they probably still play Halo to this day, even though they're the ones who actually made it. I have no idea if that's even true, but I guarantee those people actually like the games they were making. I get the vibe that a lot of these writers, these kind of like uppity types, I doubt they even play the game. They probably couldn't even tell you what Halo even is, especially the writers. I mean, they think it's some kind of like weird analog for like AI or something. I don't even know what they think. But it's like, you deserve what you tolerate at this point. Like when writing in Halo is bad, which that was actually something I saw in Halo 3, which like the writing took a clear downturn, and I wasn't really online at the time that much. But the expectation is that when you make a sequel, the writing should be, at least on par, if not better. But I still think it's a masterpiece. It's just that was kind of the start of the downturn in the writing. But when you have passionate, and the funny thing is about 343, is they literally have free labor waiting in the wings. All they have to do is ask for help. There is a lot of these people who created like models of these Halo CE Marines. Actually, I think they're actually in Blender or in Unreal Engine 5. You can literally take these models and ask for more. You don't even have to pay these people, and just give them their name in the credits of your game. Maybe thank them on Twitter. And like this applies to basically every modder, every game designer. You can get a lot of your labor and assets for free. You could even go so far as to hire a game director who literally creates mods for the games that come out. I kind of wish they would do this, but basically you release a game like Halo Infinite or whatever, and you allow open modding, and then the company can actually endorse the mods that they actually think would go well with the game or whatever. Like I can't even imagine. I'm sure there's a company out there that probably does this. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I think Valve is probably the only one I could think of who, some of these Half-Life 2 mods, especially the Black Mesa remake of Half-Life 1, they basically saw it was being made. They liked it, and then they actually kind of endorsed it, and I'm sure they take a cut of the profits, but they allowed them to put it on Steam and actually charge money for it. Which, if you have never played Black Mesa, it's actually really good. The Zen level goes on a little bit too much, like too long, but it's definitely an upgrade from the original. But it's like Halo could do that. Halo is a very positive, hopeful franchise from the beginning. That's kind of the whole point. It's basically a paleo-cosmic epic where it's humanity is the underdog, and humanity has to fight against genocidal monsters. And you have this basically Christ analog who comes to save us, and you play as him. That type of game fosters really skilled, positive people who they just want a good game. That's all they want. And instead of that, because of the low standards, the almost non-existent standards of the modern Halo consumer, you get generative AI slop and remakes. That's all you get. And again, I will say, how much more goodwill would they have gotten as a studio if they rebranded to Halo Studios and they actually decided, instead of remaking the original, which was already had a remaster, which was terrible, what if they rebranded and they said, we're going to remake the original 343 trilogy? And they can actually hire a good writer and either retcon their retcon, where humans are now forerunners again, which was always the case. I don't care what anybody says. That's literally in your face. That's what it was supposed to be. And it's much better writing. I am pretty sure a lot of these studios, these corporations, I feel like it's impossible for them to actually say they're sorry and that they were actually wrong. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to keep coming back to it. The Halo community is amazing. Even during the original Xbox and the 360 era, it was always very positive, Somebody would kill you and teabag you, but they'd be perfectly willing to help you. I mean, as far as crowdfunding goes or whatever, there's plenty of games that they could make by now. I mean, even their logo, who likes the Halo Studios logo? It looks disgusting. And they probably paid $50 million for that crap. They could have gotten it for free by asking their community, and they could have said, hey, we're gonna have a competition where we're going to rebrand our company and we want the fans to come up with a logo and you guys vote on it. Or they could even have them approve it corporately. And if I was me, I would just say, hey, you get whatever, $10,000 to the winner, and then you get every game we make under this logo, you get it for free. I guarantee you that was way cheaper than whatever consulting firm or design firm they hired for that BS. But again, if you're out there defending these games and these decisions, what do you think the logical conclusion of perpetually lowering the bar? If you perpetually lower the bar for a game studio, especially, cool thing about Bungie back in the day, which is actually why people like them, they had higher standards for their games than we did. A lot of the games that they released, we love them, and I love Halo 2 and CE and 3 just as much as everybody else. But from all the behind the scenes and the post interviews, it seems like the team themselves were never happy. They only had whatever it was, 2 years to make Halo 2, and they came out with a great game that was insanely innovative, but they weren't happy with the final product. If they would have, they literally talk about how they had to have their fingers pried from the keyboard. And I get a vibe that that attitude is nowhere to be seen at a lot of these corporatized studios. All I gotta say though is just don't be surprised that the state of Halo has never been worse. And it's not a coincidence, dude. The coincidences don't exist. There's black swan events here and there, especially in our day and age, that are kind of unpredictable. But my standards personally for Halo were actually applied en masse by the general community. I mean, the games would be a lot better objectively, because I don't buy games unless they're complete at launch. Halo is probably the only exception where I would buy it at launch if it was actually complete and it was good and whatever. But even games now that are complete, I just don't care unless I actually hear whether or not it's worth the money. But if we had good Halo games that looked great, had an awesome art style, the gameplay was on point, and you could actually get colors for free instead of having to pay $10 or whatever for the color blue. I mean, I'm gonna go on a little rant here, but I did play the Infinite multiplayer when it released, and I had a weird little twinkle in my brain telling me, I'm like, something wrong with this. I mean, a lot of it's missing. It's supposed to be a beta, but it's supposed to be releasing for real in whatever it was, a month after that. It didn't help at all that it was free to play, which is everyone thought it was a good idea for some reason. All the slop normie people. And of course, they never actually asked themselves, is this really in line with the identity of Halo? Is going along with trends a part of the identity of Halo? I didn't know that Halo was known as a Fortnite killer. And, I'll kind of wrap up the video by, I want to talk about how great Halo was one time, and I'll probably make my own video about that one day. But it's been cut down to basically irrelevance. I mean, who literally gives a single shit about if Halo is released, whatever remake this is? Even if you like the remake, it has no chance of being remembered. I mean, the original released with multiplayer, and of course it was local multiplayer, but they don't even have that really. We'll have a weird 4-player co-op, which also is a massive red flag. But it was literally one of the pillars of the gaming industry. I mean, it built it, Microsoft was built. It was selling Xboxes, millions of them, based on Halo alone. I mean, there are system sellers for PC. I think when I bought a PC, I've always wanted a PC. But if I had the money when I was a kid, it was a Blizzard game was always what I wanted. basically any one of them. And if you liked shooters, you were really, you would buy an Xbox to be able to play Halo and Gears of War. But it's like now, if you're buying an Xbox, which, why the hell would you? Like they hate I'm pretty sure they hate their customers. Everything that they do, it tells me that they hate you and they don't like you at all. Raising the price of their console like years after its release, I mean, how much more can they do to a person they hate? And the same thing with Halo, I mean, they're showing you that they don't respect their little fan base that they have going. They appeal to a broader audience, really? That's one of the biggest fallacies in gaming. And of course, it's just corporate speak that actually doesn't mean anything, because an actual good game, it's good on its own merit, and then people bend themselves around the game. Like Dark Souls 1 is, obviously was a phenomenon, created like its own genre. Dark Souls was good on its own right, and it created its own little niche. And then people would come in, usually by word of mouth, and they would bend themselves around the game to become good and to enjoy it. And Halo was never a very niche game. It was pretty normie back in the day as far as like, it was made in its own little niche by its own rules and its own standards, and it was made for, you would come in and you would enjoy it for what it was. And it's not a coincidence that Bungie leaves, all the people from Bungie leave, the ones who made the original games. Then you have all these people come in who don't understand what Halo even is. And if they do understand it, they don't like the message. It's not a coincidence that, what's his name, Frank O'Connor, whoever was writing the games or decided on the Forerunner retcon, they literally hate humans. You can't convince me otherwise. The people who agree with this, they also don't like humanity in general. They're one of those people who agree with the Matrix movie, with the agent. And is that a coincidence? You agree with the Matrix that humans are a disease, where Halo, the message was that humanity is worth saving, that humanity was actually good, and that we were a positive force for the universe. And games after Halo 3, where there was plenty of freedom after Chief is gone to create a new character in a post-Covenant War world, especially with the one good thing that they actually did do was they proliferated the Spartan program, where Spartan 4s are basically adult veterans molded by the Covenant War. That would have been amazing to actually, of course, you need to do Spartans and Elites. And Reach left off with customizable Elites and Spartans. Why would you not then have your next game follow that trend and have customizable Spartans and Elites in the game, in the campaign? I mean, Spartan 4s would literally hate the Sangheili. And there's plenty of installations right now, or still in the canon at Halo 3's end, that had not been explored, including Delta Halo. And I think in Halo 3, or maybe one of the stupid books, they talk about Delta Halo, which of course had a Gravemind on it at the beginning of Halo 2. Imagine exploring that with a team of Spartans and Elites, who they have to overcome their hatred of each other because it's a bigger threat. Or they discover something else, in addition to the remnants of the Covenant, which obviously would still be there. In a galaxy-spanning religious empire, of course not everybody is going to accept the death of the Prophet of Truth and just be okay with it and then just lay down their arms. Especially in a society like, the Sangheili. Like, they had all these interesting premises. I wrote down when the Halo TV show came out, I was never going to watch it because it looked terrible. And I was right. But my premise for that next game was infinitely more interesting than what they came up with just rampancy. And then Cortana turns into Skynet. And I think I'll actually make a video about it one day, but basically I just wanted a team, and maybe circumstance brings them together somehow, but of 2 Spartans and 2 Elites, and they basically explore a bunch of these Forerunner places, these Forerunner installations, and you can kind of come up with a new opponent, because I guarantee the Forerunners didn't just fight the Flood. They were a galaxy-spanning empire, and if they're still humans, it's a premonition almost when the Gravemind, and during Halo 3, one of the most interesting things he says is that he offers no forgiveness for our father's sins passed down to his son. I mean, that could basically be the theme of the next game after Halo 3. And I would basically have it as a spin-off. We don't need Master Chief for the new series. He should have stayed frozen for like at least a decade. And if they do unfreeze him, he's earned a rest. That was the end of his story. We don't need him anymore in the universe. And so all I wanted was a game where you kind of gallivant around the universe or around the galaxy, are reclaiming the Forerunner tech. And I love cutscenes, especially in Halo Reach. That's why I love Halo Reach so much, is the stuff you earn in-game, the armor, that actually shows up in the cutscene. So I can only imagine if you have like a noble team, fully customizable, maybe you could even customize your ship that you're on. And you also have the Halo Wars 2 kind of series out there. That story is going on concurrently, which I actually loved Halo Wars 2. It was pretty interesting. But again, like, are we even gonna get a third one in that series? I highly doubt it because the studio doesn't respect their fans enough. They don't respect the fans enough to give them what they actually want. They're giving you what you deserve. You don't deserve cool premises. You don't deserve good writing in a game. And you don't deserve actual true sequels to the games that you like. You don't deserve the Flood horror game that everybody's been wanting from a regular Marine's perspective. You don't deserve a Halo Wars 3, and we don't deserve a meeting between Anders from Halo Wars and Halsey. I mean, what kind of conversation would that be? It's too cool for us to be able to deserve that. We don't get to deserve the next AI after Cortana, because in the Halo universe, smart AI is actually, uses cloned or dead tissue from brains. And so just with that premise alone, I mean, you could have an extremely interesting AI who isn't Cortana, and it could basically be anybody. I mean, a cloned Spartan brain. I mean, Spartans are basically supposed to be genius level intellect. I mean, they're shown in some of the older books, like they do calculus and physics on the fly. These calculations that are extremely complicated, they do it on the fly. I mean, that kind of nimble, enhanced brain, what kind of AI could that actually create? That would be very interesting to pair a Spartan 4 with an AI or a smart AI that was created from the brain of a dead Spartan 2. I mean, that's way too interesting for us to be able to deserve that. We don't deserve a space fighting game like what was created in a mod for Halo Reach. We don't deserve that. We don't deserve a ODST Helldivers 2 style game. I mean, we know we don't deserve that. They already threw that in the garbage. So that wasn't good enough. Or rather, that was too good for the Halo fanboy. A game where during the Covenant War, maybe an anthology for the war from a regular Marine's perspective. An anthology where you get dropped into all the old battles from the genocidal war from the Covenant. That's too cool for us to deserve that also. We don't deserve that because our standards are too low. We don't deserve a game that's only from the elite's perspective. Or maybe a quarantine Delta Halo game where it's from the elite's perspective, because they're the only ones with a functional ship. A functional fleet, rather. Imagine trying to maintain a quarantine on the most dangerous organism to ever exist in the galaxy while a civil war breaks out. I mean, what about a game where you escape High Charity as an elite or even a grunt, as it's being completely demolished by the Flood and consumed? I mean, Halo Studios, or 343, they don't even think you deserve a completed game at launch. They don't even think you deserve free colors. They think you deserve to pay $10 for the color blue or white. They don't even want you to play the way you want to play. You gotta complete their challenges to level up. You can't just play what you want to play. You don't even deserve Slayer at launch. And they say Bungie fanboys are the problem. They're making games not for the Bungie fanboys, they're making them for you. You're the modern audience that they're targeting. I have standards and I won't buy a game that shits on me and shits on what I love. You don't even deserve to have the stories that you defend even expanded on or completed. Every single game they've released, they either have a soft retcon or reboot, or they finish it off in a book that nobody's gonna read. I mean, how many books have they released compared to games? It's gotta be double the amount. And I'm sure they're actually well written. I think a lot of the Halo books are actually really good. And ironically, they would actually make good games. I would love to play a Halo First Strike game. I would love to play a game with, Spartan Grey Team, where you're basically an espionage, CIA or ONI asset, just causing maximum chaos behind enemy lines. Yeah, you don't deserve that as a Halo fanboy anymore. I guess the Halo fanboys, they deserve the book series. They don't deserve an actual quality game series, which is hilarious. I mean, I'm making this as a joke, but I can actually see this happening. I guarantee you're gonna start having AI-generated book series. I mean, that's definitely what you deserve, honestly. People defending the book so much, okay, well, here's your AI-generated book. You're gonna complain about it for a few months, and then after it releases, your YouTuber will say it's really good, and then you're just gonna go along saying, yes, it is. And you're gonna come to a comment section, and you're gonna defend it with your life. And I always ask the same thing in every comment thread where people are arguing back and forth. But what exactly does Microsoft and Halo Studios, what do they have to do for you to stop defending them? I mean, you have one side that's been complaining and like righteously so, trying to change it by like screaming at them and voting with their wallet. And the other side, if you're an actual human, you're literally siding with the bots. Like you have bots brigading comment sections and you're agreeing with them. And I'm actually pretty sure there's bots out there disagreeing, trying to stir up controversy with this like new AI generated news for Halo. But it's like, dude, you're defending it. You will be defending it in a few months. You know, next year you'll be defending the fact that this is actually a really good game. I love paying for colors. I love having less options than I did in a game made 20 years ago. And I guarantee the next game, you know, it'll be AI generated, of course. In every aspect, it said, every aspect of the game development will have AI in it. I guarantee you the gameplay will be pretty fun. I mean, it better be. It's referencing some of the greatest shooters of all time. And the story will probably be like The Force Awakens, where it's basically just a rehash of an old story. So whenever this Halo 7 comes out, I mean, I would be surprised if they have more than 20 people on the dev team. And whatever comes out, remember, you deserve it. You know, this did kind of turn into a ramble, which is fine. You know, I like it that way. I think I'll make a video to actually flesh out my premise. But if you are still defending Halo Studios and Microsoft, the biggest corporation on earth, they're paying you for the free PR and for the free defense in the comment section. If you are one of those Halo Studios defenders, I'll give you something for free. Some free AI generated rope.